Hi and welcome back to section JShell a bigger scale. In the previous section, Interactive Java Shell 10 Basics, we went through the introduction of the Java Shell tool, JShell for short, in details and introduced the great Java 10's var type feature with examples and what can be or cannot be done with these great features. It's Java 10's most important improved tool by the time, which was its first appearance in Java SE 9. So, as we know now, JShell is a Java Rebel implementation and it's a flagship feature that enables you to quickly explore, discover, and experiment with Java language and API features. So let us see now what we are going to cover during this section. In this section, we are going to have a deeper look at more details of the JShell advanced and complex features. So we will learn how to edit code snippets and save them to a file, open a JShell snippets file to evaluate and execute them, and how to set and use your favorite external editor to edit your snippets. Also how to create, declare, and use classes, methods, and how to use the autocomplete feature to display method parameters and overloads. And finally, we are going to work with JShell commands and how to show Java API documentation in JShell, and how JShell wraps exceptions, and finally how to control JShell's feedback level for more verbose information. Are you ready? I'm eager to this, so let's start with the first video. Now we move on to the first video of this section, working with classes. So in this video we are going to take a look at how to declare a class in JShell and explicitly declare a reference type variables to that class. Then how to create objects, manipulate them, and creating a meaningful variable name for an expression. And finally, how to save and load code snippet from and to files, and how to load Java source code files into our JShell session. So now let's go to the terminal to learn how to create a class. Now I'm opening my terminal and I have to start a new JShell session, but before this I would like to land my position and my current location to my exercise files, and my exercise files are located on desktop. So I'm going to desktop, then exercise files starting with course name, and I'm working with section 2 / video number 2.1. Hit enter. Now we are on the current exercise file folder for this video. Less to navigate, so we have account.java and our code snippets that you can use to copy and paste the code from and follow with me, or you have to just type the commands as I did here. So I'm going to start a new JShell session. If you already have JShell session working for you, you can issue /reset for the current one to reset this session. So for my case, JShell, enter to start a new session. And I would like to start by declaring our account class. Instead of typing a lot of class, I'm going to the snippet files and I'm going to copy my class, getting back to JShell session, and I will paste it. At the final, I will hit enter. JShell recognizes when you enter a class's closing brace, then displays and issue the next JShell as you have seen here, prompt. Note that the semicolons through the class account's body are required to terminate the statements. Also, to save time, rather than typing a class's code as shown above, you can load an existing source code file into JShell, and we will discuss this shortly by the end of this video. So you can specify access modifiers of the classes you have declared so far. So you can specify access modifiers like public on your classes and other types. By default, JShell ignores all access modifiers on top level types, except for abstract types. Now let's view our declared classes. So to view the names of the classes you have declared so far, you can use the command /types. /types command actually display all the types you declared, including classes, interfaces, and enums. So after issuing this command, you can find that we have only one type declared so far. Now let's explicitly declaring reference type variable. So it's very easy. to explicitly declaring a reference type variables, so we have to create the account variable called account. Hit enter, and it's created, and the new variable has a value, and the default value for all reference type variables is null. Now let's create an object. You can create a new objects for sure. So the following creates an account variable named account and initializes it with the new object. Hit enter. So now let's also try to declare an implicit account variable initialized with account object. If you create an object with only the expression new account, JShell assigns the object to an implicit variable of type account as in the following. New account, enter. It's assigned to a variable of $4. This is the new variable implicitly declared for account type. Now let's view our declared variables. You can view all the declared variables you have declared so far with the new command JShell command /vars. Hit enter. And now note that this object's hash code is different from the prior accounts object. Hash code. These typically are different, but that's not guaranteed. For each variable, JShell shows the type, the variable name, then followed by an equal $, and the variable text representation. Now let's play with the declared variable we have created account. So let's clear JShell session by pressing Ctrl L. This will clear your current JShell session just screen, like what you can do with terminal by clear command. Now once you have an object, you can call its methods. In fact, you already did this with system.out object by calling its println, print, and printf methods in the earlier snippets in the previous video of section 1. So the following snippet sets the account object name. So account.set name, I will set it to Mohammed and hit enter. The method setName has the return type void, so it does not return a value, and JShell does not show any additional output. So the following statement will get the account object name. Account.getName, hit tab for autocomplete and hit enter. And methods getName return a string. When you invoke a method that returns a value, JShell stores the value in an implicitly declared variable. In this case, $S's type is inferred to be string. Of course, you could have assigned the result of the preceding method call to an explicitly declared variable. There is no problem in this. So now let's use the return value of the method in a statement. So if you invoke a method as a part of a larger statement, the return value is used in that statement rather than stored. For example, the following uses println to display the account object name. So system.out.println account.getName, hit enter, and it will show you Mohammed. So now let's go to another point. Let's create a meaningful variable name for an expression. So you can give a meaningful variable name to a value that JShell previously assigned to an implicit variable. For example, with the following snippet recalled, this one. So to create a variable name automatically with a valid return type, you should press both keys, Shift and Tab keys together, then release those keys and press V immediately. So I will do this. As I told you, Shift, Tab, release them, and click V. JShell infers the expression's type and begins a variable declaration for you. account.getName returns a string, so JShell inserts a string and an equal sign before the expression as in the following. JShell also positions the cursor indicated by underscore immediately before the equal sign, so you can simply type the variable name as in the following, and I will name this account1 and hit enter, account name, and we have a new variable now called account name of type Mohammed. That's fantastic. When you press enter as we did, JShell evaluates the new snippet and stores the value in the specified variable name. Now let's go to save our time. You can save all of the session's valid code snippets to a file, which you can then load into a JShell session as needed. Now it's time to save our experimental snippets to a file. So to save snippets to a file, just the valid snippets. You have to memorize this, not all the invalid one. You have a command called /save as the following. You have to type /save, then the file name, I will call it my snippets.jshell, for example, and hit enter. We can go to exercise files to see if our snippets already there or not, and we can prove this by loading that file, and it will execute all the snippets inside that file. So by default, the file is created in the folder from which you launched JShell, and we launched JShell from our exercise video folder. To store the file in different locations, specify a complete path of your file. So now if you would like to recall again this snippet file, once saves your snippet, then you can reload with open command. So I'm going to record this, but I'm going just to change save to open and hit enter, and the last one is Mohammed because all the previous is just the commands which will execute each snippet in the file. Now let's load a Java source code file. You also can open existing Java source code file using open. For example, let's assume you would like to experiment with a class account. Rather than typing its code into JShell, you can save time by loading the class from the source file account.java. In the command window, you can change to the folder as we have now, and we have account class declared by default as we have shown you previously at the beginning of this video. So execute JShell and then use the following command to load the class declaration into JShell. So /open account.java, and it's opened. /types, and we have this, and let's reset this session. It's resetted, so we don't have types. So let's open our account file, and now we have the class of type account already loaded into our JShell session. Fantastic. To load the file also from another folder, you can specify the full path name of the file to open. In the next video, we will show how to use existing compiled classes into JShell. So far, we have learned how to create a class and manipulate an object of that class, and finally how to save and load code snippets from into files, and how to load the Java source code file into code snippets into JShell.